and forward you along to us. So something else that I wanted to talk about, because this actually got a lot of press, that we actually got our first look at the FF11 mobile reboot. So we don't talk. I mean, we talk.
We don't talk about.
We talk tangentially about 11 anymore. This is not an 11 show, but being that we did cover 11 for several years with Limit Break
Radio. And we use the word covered very loosely.
No, very literally. We covered it.
We did.
Very in depth. Very wickedly in depth.
You're not wrong.
Are those like buttons or macros down there in the corner of the screen?
So hang on, let me bring this up on screen, so for those that haven't seen it yet, you can.
Oh, man.
But this is the first official look. We got some screenshots and some other shit. Here's the first initial screenshots from FF11 Mobile, I don't know what those buttons say, but yeah, I'm gonna guess that those are action buttons. And then over here you've got your D-pad, right? That's what will move the character.
So they're gonna say that this game is 11.
Well, it is like a third-person view of 11.
So
it looks nothing like 11.
No, it doesn't. That's the thing, is that it doesn't.
We all played 11 for how long? Can anyone tell me what zone that is? For all your years of playing 11, can you tell me what zone that is? Because I can't.
Nero's taking a closer look at it. Is it Adulan someplace?
No, it's not.
No.
The only thing I thought was maybe Saruta Baruta. That's the most, like, because of the way that building's shaped. But
that bottom picture definitely looks like Saruta Baruta, and you're looking at it.
Yes, the bottom picture looks like Saruta or Merfatad leading into Saruta.
It bugs me that after 10 years playing that game, I can't tell you immediately where that zone is.
That's because
that's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
Is that part of Windurst Waters? That tree looks like it might be
it could be
Tower.
It could be part of Windurst. That's what I was going to say, but the textures
that looks that open would be Windurst Waters.
Yeah, but the textures to me say Ul'dah. Or not Ul'dah, fucking Bastak. Jesus Christ.
It's not Bastak.
I know it's not Bastak because it's got one of those Saruta Baruta trees in the background, but the textures to me say Bastak.
Yeah.
Now, this could be a beta zone.
Maybe it's just a test zone that they're using.
Yes. But we do know that it is being developed in Unreal Engine 4, which I think that's a pretty interesting revelation there. And I think that begs the question, if Nexon is using Unreal 4 to develop this, will we see a port or even an adjustment of the way that FF11 plays on PC?
I feel like you would have to.
Either that or this doesn't interact with the PC client at all.
I don't think it will at all.
You don't think?
Reboot.
You don't think?
I think, isn't this going to be like not even quite MMO? It's going to be like this is not the same as the other online game that's in the same world.
They're calling it an MMORPG.
And so I thought that this was either going to be like a one-player game or have select online features.
I was going to say, the only way that I would call this like an FF11, port to the phone or whatever, is if I decide to come back, am I logging on to Kahlo? If I'm not, if I have to make a whole new character or whatever, then
what's the fucking point?
Right, it's just a
I
different
just kind of figured that this was a one-player reboot or a very limited online reboot.
No, they confirmed it is an online game.
Yeah, it is an MMO. They did confirm that it is in fact an MMO.
An MMMO.
Well, this article directly says an MMO, and we don't really know anything else about it.
I thought maybe it's a different one. They called it a massive multiplayer mobile online role-playing game.
It's possible.
And those are generally when there's mobile online games. They have certain things that are online, but the entire game is not usually online.
What bugs me is that
you can run a dungeon or run a raid with online, but then when you go back to the open world, it's yourself.
What bugs me is I see on one of those two pictures, there's what looks like a stamina gauge.
Yeah, yeah.
Which scares me because it's got a stamina gauge a la Record Keeper on it, and that scares the fuck out of me.
Oh shit, you're right. And here I'll bring it back up, and you can kind of see also that there are plus icons next to Gil and health.
Pay to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
Square Enix be garbage, so don't even.
Square Enix has a tendency to make me angry, very seldom do they actually get to just make me sad. And I came away reading that.
No, they're exploiting us.
Yeah. I came away reading that and I felt sad for the rest of the day. Like,
Square Enix, stop making Ascalia sad.
Yeah.
That's our job.
Yeah.
You guys just made me depressed.
Is it different? Anyway, so
Challenge accepted.
it's I don't know what to think about this. I think that if it has interactivity with the FF11 client, that breathes a little bit of life back into the PC end. If it's completely disambiguated from everything on the PC client, then it almost feels like, what's the point? There's not much of an audience left that wants to keep exploring Vana'diel, so what would be the point of not having it interact? I think that if Square Enix can, first of all, if Square Enix can pull off having a game that interacts both on mobile and on PC in some kind of meaningful fashion, that's an insane feat, and especially to pull it off with a game like FF11 that's had so many restricting factors to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would be a feat of technical acumen that is almost unparalleled. But the thing is, I don't know how much hope I would hold.
I look at those two screenshots, and this says to me, at the very least, you're making a new character. I highly doubt your character from Vana'diel survives.
Cut to a scene of animated Tanaka, a la Family Guy, standing in front of the board of directors of Square Enix and being like, all right, guys, it's Final Fantasy XI, but on your phone!
But what would honestly be the point of making an isolated MMO that is set in Vana'diel that has literally no connectivity with the PC client?
Well, if there is some type of play to win, then it could just be a quick cash grab. I mean, how many people nostalgic for Final Fantasy
quick is
XI?
this?
Wait, hang on. That's the thing, is that FF11 had like 500,000 people playing it total. That was not a very big game. That did not really even register in terms of MMO populations. It was a very small game. I mean, they made their money off of it, and it had a good initial release. But dude, I don't think anyone is craving for that Vana'diel nostalgia.
Not, but they've obviously made themselves a pretty decent sized dent with FF14. So now you have a platform to advertise this on.
So why not make this an FF14 standalone? Why make it in Vana'diel? Why not? Why set it in Vana'diel if it's going to be its own thing?
I feel like it goes back to
you could set it in a multitude of other places other than Vana'diel, and it would still be perfectly valid and viable.
I feel like it goes back to what I said ages ago, and that Square Enix doesn't want one of their numbered titles to be unplayable. They don't want that.
Yeah, but dude, you can just leave the PC client up in a single server. I mean, shit, dude, we still see. I mean,
Ultima Online still
Ultima
on.
Online, RuneScape is
Ragnarok
getting
is
up.
still up.
Dude, yeah.
Isn't the EverQuest still up too?
Yeah, EverQuest, yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, it doesn't actually cost that much to consolidate servers like that and keep a single machine running or a cluster of machines running your game.
You go to tour the FF14 studios, there's like a dank closet with cobwebs. What's in there? That's the last living Final Fantasy XI server.
I just don't. I don't understand why you would set it in FF11 if it doesn't have any connectivity at all back with the PC client.
Yeah,
that to me, because if you're going to make it its own thing, why not set it in any other world, any other?
I just think it's because
Square
there are
Enix
a lot
property
of people
world
who have been so disconnected from 11 for so long that have said, oh, well, if I could just go back and play the original 11 story, I'd like to do that, but I'm so far out of it now, I don't want to go back now. So I think it's
are there that many people that are saying that though? I don't think that there are. I truthfully do not think that there are.
I mean, you look back at Vana'diel, it was a very good world with a good amount of lore to it.
We're saying this as hardcore FF11. We loved FF11. I'm saying that someone who picked it up for like 3 months, played it a little bit, and then moved the fuck on to WoW, they're not going to give a shit about whether or not this is a mobile game or not. No. They're not going to care.
But how many people who like 14 now might give it a try?
There are actually quite a few people playing 14 that have never touched a Final Fantasy game
and some
before.
of them would say, and it's too late to go back and play 11 now.
Then again, why not set it in Eorzea?
Because that's your remake 11 for the people who never got to play 11. It's really, really hard now at this point, say someone who plays 14 who's never played 11, to just start a character on 11 and get the game experience. You can't do that. So they're rebooting it in a way where you can do that.
Not that I think this is going to be giving you their game experience either, but
I just don't.
It's going to give you the 11 MMO experience, and it won't be like a freaking just steamroll.
But if I'm Square Enix and I'm considering making and putting a ton of development time into a game that's going to be released on a mobile platform, I want to choose, and if I'm going to attach it to an IP, I want to attach it to the most successful IP that I possibly can. Not an MMO from the early 2000s that had 500,000 subscribers and ultimately was dwarfed and overshadowed by World of Warcraft. I don't think that there's many people who are sitting around pining like, oh, I missed out on FF11. I wish that I could. They say it in the abstract, but they don't really fucking mean it. That's not something that someone actually genuinely means, because if they meant it, they would pick up FF11 and they'd start playing it now.
Not really, because you don't really get the entire thing. Like, what's going to happen is okay, I can't do any of the story all by myself, guys. So you're going to get your high-level friend, or maybe nobody ever, and quit the game because you're so frustrated.
And you know what? That's the true MMO experience
for you, and that's not the same.
They're not putting tons of effort and development time into. Nexon is.
Okay, maybe I see.
That's what I'm wondering.
They're paying Nexon.
How much money is actually going into this? Because that's always been the draw of mobile games where you can pay to play, is people will pay the fuck out of this. It's the same thing with Blade and Soul. Shitty ass game. Don't know if it's still going anymore. Don't care. But guess what? I bet whatever fucking company that was made a nice dime on it, didn't they?
Yes.
Even though they paid who knows out the ass to these streamers to play it, they're probably going to make a pretty decent penny off of this. For all we know, they just sold the rights to do this to Nexon. They're like, fuck it. Let them do what they want. They can pay us fucking royalties or whatever the fuck it is that they do.
CEO of Nexon was a huge 11 fanboy.
Here's my...
doesn't make sense to me.
Here's the only reason why I can think to use the world of 11 is that all of the lore and story is already set in stone, so they don't have to spend any time in development making up a story that's already there for you.
Yeah, if they're redoing the 11 story, there is that. You said the only thing about doing it in Eorzea would it be canon? Would it be competing with the current still ongoing story? Whereas 11 story is completed.
It's a redo of the original game. So it's like basically you say the old game is no more and this is the new version.
I read somewhere that this is going to go up through Chains of Promathia at launch.
It sounds like they're probably retooling the battle system in the way that the raids work, so you don't need 75 people at all times on a mobile game in order to proceed.
So should we?
I also think that another reason they're putting it in 11, and I can't remember who was saying this before. This wasn't my idea. Someone else was saying is that as this is Square Enix and this is Final Fantasy, when the PC servers for 11 finally go down, Square Enix will never say you can no longer play one of my numbered titles. So they're keeping this one around where you can play with less people, you can play more casually, you can play whatever, so that you can still play the game.
Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Maybe what we should be looking at this as is the remastered version. They just came out with another version of 9. They've done it with everything else. This is
kind of like that.
like the quote unquote the HT version of FF11 that people can pick up and play. I don't know.
Okay, look, the PC version, the servers of the PC version are going to outlast the shitty mobile game. Let's be honest here.
That's what I'm thinking.
Probably.
Is that?
No,
but,
I don't think so.
But at the same, hang on though. But at the same time, this is a game that's being developed in the Unreal 4 engine. Why not just port it to PC as well? I mean, why not? Because it'll
play the Final Fantasy 11 phone version on your computer.
Hold on, because there's no reason for them to cry PS2 limitations anymore.
Yeah. Galaxy 7 limitations.
They ended support for PS2 and for Xbox, didn't they?
Could they?
Yep.
Yes, they did. Could they conceivably shut down the PC servers as they exist now and replace it with this version of FF11?
If you can update your character there so you're not losing your progress, maybe. But if people lose all their progress, you might as well be killing the game.
Well, no, because this game when it launches, it's only going to have up through Chains of Promathia. How could you possibly bring your dueling character in?
You said that. I haven't said that, or I haven't seen that as a part of any of the.
Yeah, that is alleged.
Yeah, okay. That we don't know what is going to be there. It's a complete fucking mystery.
This isn't going to have a subscription model, right?
We don't know.
So I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a mobile online, and it's going to have some online features, and it's going to require you can pay microtransactions. And I think it will outlast the PC version because eventually people will stop paying subscriptions and the PC servers will get shut down. And this, however, will be a casual pick up and play whenever you want with like 2 friends. You don't need 75 people to go do a raid, and it'll be great. And so I think this is their answer to when the PC servers go down, how can people still play a numbered FF title? This is the answer.
But why not? And again, but why not just also put it on the PC as well? Especially if you're making it in Unreal 4.
I don't know about that. That's a good question.
Because I mean, then you actually have to tune the game to be fun on a PC. Because, I mean, it's not like it can't happen. I mean, Kahlo, you're playing through FF9 right now. That's technically the mobile version of the game that's been up-converted and ported to PC.
I fucking love it.
And yeah.
I have no complaints with it whatsoever. There's one thing I would change, and that's the spacing between the names on the UI for battles, but that's not a big fucking deal.
It's basically a port with minor altercations. Like, this is a completely different game. All right, this is like
as far as the control the control scheme goes, anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't think this game is going to play anything like Final Fantasy XI does today.
Oh, it can't.
It can't. There's no way. So
where are you going to get the number fucking, the number pad for a keyboard? Like, there's no way that it could possibly operate the same way. And so, they are going to have to make concessions and specifically gameplay concessions to be able to make it function on a mobile platform. And that's why I say I don't think it can be connected to the PC version of the game that exists right now. And if they don't, then what's the point? Why bother set it in Vanadil? Okay, so they could say that you can play every numbered version of a Final Fantasy
maybe
game.
Maybe this is their way of saying the PC version is shutting down soon.
It's not going to shut down.
Why would they? That's the thing, is that the cost to run the servers is not... I mean, they've already... Like, the money's already been spent. They made the content. They're not going to just shut down the servers... Because it's not like they can't afford the server space.
All right, here, Red Fate is posting some Q&As for us. Will FF11 Mobile share servers or existing characters with the Windows version? Unknown. A relevant note, according to these quotes from SE, it will not involve directly transferring your character data over, so it's best to think that a new, separate account and character will be used to play. Currently, I'm unable to say anything definitive, but as a game, it will be something completely new. I think that the most the theory that makes sense the most is the idea that they want some incarnation of the game available
forever,
or to people who don't want to invest in the MMO.
Because I assume that the story will be the same. Like, the game will be different, the gameplay will be different, the way you interact with the environment with other players will be different, but the story and the lore will be the same.
Well, if we're going by the screenshots, we don't even know that because it looks like the world is even different.
It could be like
I think the story will be the same.
They couldn't call it Final Fantasy XI if the story was different. That's how Final Fantasy games work.
They probably shipped it off to Nexon. Nexon probably paid them some type of amount for the rights to an FF11 mobile port, and they're like, look, this is what we're going to do with it. It'll loosely be based on the game. Things might be a little bit different, look a little bit different, and it's basically going to be a single-player version of the game.
But isn't that sort of what the record keeper version of the FF11 stuff is?
Not really.
Kinda.
No, all that really is here, do this battle with a boss that's notable, and then we're going to give you a little summary.
That's like what the FF11 fates were in 14. Like, here's a couple bosses from 11. Here you go.
It does.
And 11 isn't even in there yet.
Like, it doesn't seem weird to anyone else that they're making 2 different mobile games based off of FF11, but yet the servers can't seem to hold more than 1,200 people, maybe sometimes even less than 1,000 per server. I just, that's the thing, is that in terms of IPs, FF11 was never that strong. It means a lot to us because we all played it. We all played the shit out of it, and the people who played it love it. But if you make a game like this, don't you want it to appeal wider than the audience that you already had?
Well, here's the thing, though. If it has nothing to do with the actual Windows version, it's literally just a single-player version for anyone to pick up and play to go through the story, I think you might actually be able to rope a few other people in. And if they can buy Gil, they can buy Life, they have to buy Stamina to play it, you're probably going to recoup your losses on it.
I think that's like the biggest thing of any Final Fantasy is the story, and this is a way to give lots and lots of people easy access to the story, and that's the biggest thing about Final Fantasy is the story.
Right.
And what
Which
is
this
this?
is the way they will immortalize the FF11 story long after the PC servers are shut down.
Right, and the PC version at this point, it's only accessible if you've played before.
Chuck's
Like
just
you
having
could not
an
be,
aneurysm.
you could not be new and come into FF11
you
at this
can't.
point. It would be next to impossible.
But I'm gonna echo Juxta's point that I actually think that the PC servers will outlast even the mobile game.
They're not.
Probably.
They're not going down.
They're not
No,
going
I think
anywhere.
that the mobile game will last forever, though. Like, the mobile game will be a way for someone random in, like, 30 years to be like, I wonder what FF11 was like back before FF30 came out.
Until
and, like,
Nexon
pick
goes
it up,
down.
and they'll be able to play the story.
Yeah, that's it, until Nexon files for bankruptcy.
Maybe Steam will buy it.
But I still think the game will exist in some kind of solo capacity.
Someone will have an emulator of it.
Like, I think you'll be able to play it solo eventually. Like, the mobile game will be FF11
In
forever.
15 years, Square Enix will be shutting down private FF11 mobile servers.
You can already play it solo, basically.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, 99% of the content in FF11 can be done
You
solo.
cannot start from the beginning and do the story solo.
MRUA in the chat brings up a great point.
Yeah, great point.
Papa Woody is old.
Oh.
Easy P.
That's out of left field, but okay.
What the hell are you doing back in your chair? I thought I told you to sit down on the floor.
My back is hurting. I'm old.
Yeah, getting old sucks.
Yeah.
Are you talking to Juxta about having your back hurt?
Yeah.
Are you trying to garner sympathy there?
Kooky adding this Q&A also. Is there any possibility to release an offline version of the game? We have talked about plans for an offline version several times. However, every time we start looking into this, the cost is too high and we end up dropping the plan. We do want to make it available, but it is impossible to make the entire FF11 game something that is playable by one person. So we would have to take away specific parts. For these reasons, we currently have no specific projects for this. Now, again, but this this answer seems like they're actually relying on
The MMO aspect.
on the MMO aspect and some of the mechanical
Well, right.
aspects of the game.
I don't see
It
that
says you can't play
surviving.
the entire game online. So I think it could be something like you play the story, you play a lot of it solo, and then for some events, like, oh, let's do a
See, now I think that Square Enix could make a play at something which would be if they had a combined universe between the PC client and the mobile client. That's the first time in history anything like that has ever been accomplished or even attempted. And I think that Square Enix stands a lot to gain from a technical standpoint by pushing that aspect of the game. Yes, the actual PC client is approaching 15 years old, but the mobile aspect in saying that, look, you can play this game on PC or on mobile, and it's the same. It's sort of like the same selling point that they had by bringing the game out on PS2 and PC at the same time.
I think the only way you see them do something like that is, like you said earlier, if they release the Unreal 4 client on PC. I can't imagine they would try to incorporate the old FF11 structure.
I don't. They seem to be changing a lot about the fundamentals of the way that the PC client worked. I mean, for a long time they just introduced mounts into 11.
Yeah.
It was something that we thought was impossible for the longest time.
They have mounts in there now?
Yeah.
They have mounts. They finally put chairs in. You can sit.
But again, we know that the biggest limiting factor for FF11 in terms of its technological advancement was the PS2 and the Xbox 360. And with service ending for both of those, we actually have still yet to see the direction that the development team wants to take it in an overall sense. So I think with those two limiting factors gone, we actually don't know how bad or good the spaghetti code they've been doing for FF11 for the past 15 years is.
True, but best case scenario, the server architecture is still 15 years old. How well is that going to play with a mobile platform in this day and age? It might not even be compatible.
It may be perfect. It may be perfect because that game was designed for 56K modem dial-up, and if you get network drops on Wi-Fi or you get network drops from your data plan, I think that a minimalistic data transfer structure is probably the way to go. It may actually be more beneficial than it is a hindrance. We just don't know. We don't know enough about it to really say for sure. But I think that's a possibility, and especially with with the 2 console services ending,
Yes.
we're really going to start, I think, seeing some new stuff in the world of FF11, and I think that's going to be interesting.
I think that this is just an April Fool's thing that got way out of hand. Square Enix is on the phone to Nexon. That was supposed to be a joke. Shut it down.
Stop work. Well, they'd have to inform Nexon first, I think. So.